この目は闇がよく見える。
What's going on, guys? TG or ThunderGod here, back with a pretty interesting video. Today I'm going to be talking about Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan Sasuke, or EMS Sasuke as I'll refer to him in this video, and how strong he is throughout the war arc. The reasoning for this video is there's just a ton of misconceptions, misinterpretations, and just plain disrespect to the character in general. And by the end of the video, I guarantee you walk away thinking he's stronger than you believe. Now, starting off, we actually do have a bit of knowledge on how strong the Sasuke is. He's already confirmed to be stronger than his 5 Kage Summit counterpart due to his and Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan fusing. Sasuke himself states it, with it being displayed prominently as he dons the same Susanoo he did against Kakashi when his hatred reached a boiling point before his eyes burned out. Sasuke would be vastly above Sage Mode Naruto, as him and Naruto conclude at the end of their clash at the 5 Kage Summit that they both essentially needed more power in order to defeat the other. We also do see that when Sasuke awakens his EMS, this is where he begins to actually show somewhat of a rivalry or relativity to Itachi, as opposed to all the encounters Itachi and Sasuke had before where Itachi was sandbagging to the heaviest degree. In the 4th data book, it states that after achieving his EMS, the Eternal Light, Sasuke surpasses Itachi in ninjutsu and genjutsu. Actually, I had this statement personally translated. You'll see the kanji and translation on screen right now, as there's a translation floating around in the community that just refers to techniques, but no, this is actually not the accurate translation. And if you do want the raw kanji to see for yourself, I'll leave that in the description below. Now, you might be kind of thrown off by that statement, ninjutsu and genjutsu. However, I'll explain later on why this actually may not be that much of a stretch. When Sasuke first emerges after killing the first white Zetsu during the war, he essentially is practicing with his eyes as he's just obtained them, meaning there's a lot of room to grow for Sasuke moving forward. A similar trait Naruto shares in the war with Kurama's chakra, Sasuke is shown now utilizing flame control in conjunction with the Susanoo in the form of Yaseku Magatana beads. He did utilize this against the Raikage, however, now having lost his Mangekyo drawback, the ability has become that much more potent, with Sasuke going on to show far more finesse than he ever did before. Something interesting to note about the Armored Susanoo too is that the Armored Susanoo is specifically noted to be achieved when someone has achieved mastery beyond their Mangekyo, which is what Itachi displays in his fight with Sasuke, but Sasuke would actually go on to develop this towards the end of the Kage Summit, which essentially means that towards the end of the Kage Summit, Sasuke would have achieved mastery beyond the Mangekyo just like Itachi, which, if you want to follow some narratives, you know, that would fall in line with the statements made about Sasuke's eyes eventually surpassing the likes of Itachi's by Obito and Orochimaru. It's just unfortunate because Sasuke quite literally burns out, and this EMS Sasuke would just scale directly above this point. This is also evidenced by the fact that this 5 Kage Summit Sasuke, at his absolute peak, also does have Amaterasu in the palm of the Susanoo, utilizing it like how he does standardly with his EMS. This, coupled with the repeated hatred amps throughout the Kage Summit, just made Sasuke a force of nature. And we're actually going to see a similar development with his Eternal Mangekyo. And what's interesting is that you could almost argue that Sasuke's anger is actually forcibly developing his Mangekyo Sharingan, because even against the fight like against Danzo, his anger is constantly propelling his Susanoo and body to evolve and grow stronger. And it's the same when he unlocks the armored form. It comes from a place of rage when he's like interacting with Kakashi. So he may actually just be like forcing the doors down on like his Mangekyo Sharingan just through anger alone, which again is pretty insane. After treating the white Zetsu he encounters, well, like white Zetsu, Sasuke has the events of the war relayed to him and is adamant on going to where Naruto is on the battlefield. However, this all changes when Sasuke then encounters Itachi. We see Sasuke encounter Itachi, where he follows and questions Itachi on why he was the sole survivor of the clan, searching for any sort of confirmation for what has transpired. Something Sasuke does with pretty much everybody he meets related to the incident, even with Hiruzen after this encounter. He follows Itachi, which leads us to really the big first aspect of this video, the Kabuto fight. This will also bring us into one of the 3 phases for EMS Sasuke that I've kind of segmented the character up into, that being Unmastered EMS, or like fresh. Now, this fight is honestly where most contention and a lot of narratives are spun around Itachi, Sasuke, and Kabuto, respectively. So starting off with the Kabuto fight, it's quickly established to us by Itachi that him and Sasuke are not allowed to kill Kabuto. What does this mean? Well, it means that they're very limited in their techniques and cannot use their stronger end techniques, obviously. Evidenced by, you know, Itachi obviously not using the Totsuka Blade, Sasuke not using Enton at all during the battle or Amaterasu, which, you know, for Itachi, pretty self-explanatory. For Sasuke, you know, that's the whole point of his fighting style at this point in the series. It's just changing the Amaterasu flames and using that, and we see this later on. This does not mean that they're holding back from a stat perspective, but due to the nature of their win condition and some things I'm going to outline about the fight, it's a much better look for Kabuto because Itachi and Sasuke are much more defense oriented throughout this fight. So while you could say that Kabuto is on a similar tier from a stat perspective due to all the mini micro interactions throughout this fight, this really doesn't work long term for drawing any conclusions about Sasuke and future versions of him, which I'll discuss. Again, I'm not saying that Kabuto being this strong is an issue or that I have any contention with that, but more so that the way Itachi and Sasuke are fighting are allowing Kabuto to get away with a lot more than he would in a fight where they're actually going for an objective W rather than getting the Izanami win con off. This is something Sasuke notes much further into the fight, even questioning if keeping Kabuto alive is worth it due to their approach allowing Kabuto to do as described. The waters are muddied further as Kabuto also says he doesn't want to kill Sasuke, yet does want to rewrite the tag in Itachi's head. It creates this unbelievably weird dynamic in the fight, and the fact that Itachi is actually fighting in a specific way to get the Izanami loop initiated and get Kabuto under the Genjutsu goes back to what I was saying earlier about this fight not being a good representation for Sasuke, generally speaking. Before I get into this fight as well, I want to address a statement that has been thrown around and I've had a problem with for a while now. Specifically, this is from the little excerpt on the back of Naruto volume 61. This statement reads as such: "Can the brothers put aside their differences to help each other out? When they come face to face with Kabuto, the man who revived Itachi from the dead, they'll have to team up if they have any hope of survival." I have seen this statement kind of used as somewhat of a crutch to just say Kabuto's objectively above the combined might of Itachi and Sasuke, which I think is utterly ridiculous and doesn't even pertain to anything happening in the fight, and I'll explain it. There's two parts to this statement. The first is that people use these statements as objective backbones for scaling, when in reality, they're more so raising hype for a certain point in the story, as the idea of someone, you know, shopping for the manga, reads the back, gets intrigued because of the diction used, and buys it due to the diction on the back of the book. So I'm already not the biggest fan of these statements, but to actually take it a step further, because, you know, you can still use it, and that's not, you know, that's all my own personal gripe, but that's obviously not the most fair critique. This is actually another one of those Viz localization changes, as when I had the statement translated through my own personal translator, there is no mention of Kabuto being stronger than Itachi and Sasuke combined, or the two needing to team up to survive. The last sentence where the statement is made can be up to some interpretation, as the Japanese are saying left and right, basically meaning it can go one way or the other, as in this battle will decide the outcome of the war, which is carried through the context of the next sentence, considering the fate of the entire Shinobi Alliance is being decided now, in referencing to specifically the Kabuto fight. Long story short, the whole Sasuke and Itachi need to team up to survive is referring to Viz localization. If you're more curious about, you know, that process, check out my Minato video, I explain it. Kanji will be down below if you're interested, but I'm mainly doing this for the sake of just having more accurate translations in the community and these videos, as a lot of people just take these statements at face value and just accept them, when in reality, and I'm not saying this is all the time, but occasionally these things do happen, where statements just get circulated and used with no one really fact-checking or seeing what's behind it. Starting with the fight, and I'm not going to go every little micro transaction in this fight, but it does start with Sasuke launching his Susanoo arrow at Kabuto, with Kabuto just straight up dodging it with sensory capabilities alone, which is ridiculously impressive, as the Susanoo arrow is noted to be extremely fast, even among the Susanoo attacks, which are noted to be faster than even Sasuke himself. Kabuto then counters and emerges a perfect Sage, launching the Sage Art White Extreme Attack. This technique is extremely powerful. This isn't a Kabuto video, so I'm not going to mention it too much, but this actually does force Sasuke to kind of lose the Susanoo surrounding him. It essentially, it's like a flashbang and stun grenade, all mixed into one, light and sound, knock out sight and hearing, and paralyzes Sasuke's body to the point his bones are actually rattling. Specifically with the air to oscillate, paralyzing the senses and just freezing any individual in place. We then see that Itachi is able to block Kabuto's assault via his Susanoo. This could be chalked up to him being an Edo Tensei and having somewhat of a pain resistance, although we do know from the likes of Hanzo that Edo Tenseis do feel pain. Or it just could have been easier to initiate the Susanoo than maintain it, as in Sasuke's case. Whatever narrative you spin, that's fine. I still think this is just an impressive technique for Kabuto, and something Sasuke would have struggled with greatly if Itachi wasn't here. We then see Itachi and Sasuke actually take the offense, and I actually want to make an important note. This is the only time in the actual fight where Itachi and Sasuke take an offensive approach against Kabuto. Every other moment in this fight, they're simply defending against his techniques and just allowing Kabuto to throw everything against them. They recall the board mission they took on together, with Itachi launching Yasaka Magatana beads at Kabuto, pretty much blinding and blocking him on the ceiling from escaping, while just creating dust clouds everywhere. Kabuto not really able to react or dodge away before they hit the ceiling, with Sasuke using this diversion to actually tag Kabuto with the Susanoo arrow, pinning him to the top of the wall. Kabuto's enhanced stats nor Sage Mode Sensory enabled him to evade this combo. And this again outlines what I mentioned earlier, that if Itachi and Sasuke were bloodlusted, they would just really be able to kill Kabuto. If that was an Enton arrow, Kabuto's cooked, or Sasuke just shot Amaterasu straight at Kabuto. The fact that they're just able to attack Kabuto with these lower forms of their avatars and just create circumstances where they're able to get in close or just blatantly hit him should just speak volumes. And again, it's not really a dig at Kabuto, but more so that he's just not a whole tier above both these fighters. It's just not. And there's a lot surrounding the fight, but if they both were going for the kill, even if you want to argue like they're closer in stats, they do have the hacks to kill him at this point and could have gotten it off. That's pretty much the main narrative I want to get across here. Kabuto, for all his hacks, is not liquidating through a Totsuka Blade or a Amaterasu itself. And if you want to argue maybe he like separates part of himself, similar to maybe the Jubi or something from Amaterasu, Kabuto listed off all of his abilities. Sasuke had complete knowledge of this, yet he still didn't feel comfortable enough using Amaterasu against him, despite knowing how Orochimaru's abilities, Soigetsu's, Karin's. Along with how Kabuto reacts to the technique a bit later in the fight, it's just safe to say Amaterasu would generally be effective against him. The reason this is pivotal is because this moment right here sealed Kabuto's fate for the fight, as he attempts to grab Sasuke's sword to free himself, with Itachi lunging at Kabuto, then dissipating into crows and then cutting off Kabuto's horn. For the Izanami, all Itachi has to do at this point is simply recreate the action, and everything that happened in between will just create an infinite loop. And he notes this. He's like, I've already laid the plan down. And you see this when he actually stabs Itachi in the same type of position the second time, and Itachi's eye turns white. Now, before that point, there's a couple micro feats that I just want to talk about really quickly. A common example that people will use for like Itachi carrying Sasuke in this fight is him actually covering Sasuke when Kabuto uses the Sage Art Inorganic Reanimation, which people try and flip like, oh, he's able to react and Sasuke can't. But what they won't point out is that Sasuke actually turned off his EMS prior to this feat, while Itachi had his MS active the whole time. You might ask, why would he do this? It would be more than likely just to conserve chakra, as he's not an Edo. He doesn't have like a unlimited chakra supply, or more like accurately a chakra supply that keeps replenishing itself. Lowering his dojutsu would obviously in turn make it so he can't react as well as Itachi, who is currently using a higher grade of dojutsu. In this instance, the spikes aren't even pointed at Sasuke either. Like, none of them are attempting to breach the Susanoo. None of them are around him. None of them are grazing against the fist. And Kabuto supplements this right after by saying that he would not risk harming Sasuke. So this was more so in line with Itachi and Kabuto like reading each other's intentions like they do throughout the fight. But again, yeah, this isn't really a good Sasuke anti-feat, and even the data book supplements it by just like took Itachi by surprise, because it's like a technique neither of them have ever seen before. So all of this just makes sense. Kabuto then dashes at the duo, but is halted by Amaterasu, again adding to how Kabuto isn't an entire tier above Sasuke or Itachi at this point, as Sasuke was able to activate the jutsu, fired off in front of Kabuto, and 360 his body before Kabuto could dash around to the center. Sasuke does all of this before Kabuto even stops his motion, again adding to their kill techniques not being present, adding a huge nerve to them, as if they didn't need Kabuto alive, Sasuke would have just hit him with the technique here blatantly. Kabuto is still very impressive, however, as Sasuke notes, as I alluded to earlier, just blatantly mentioned that is it really that bad of an idea to kill him? We're playing catch up. And Itachi just, has to kind of keep warding Sasuke and like telling him we need to be patient. The Jutsu Izanami just requires a bit more time to prep. Kabuto would go on to spam the Sound 4 abilities enhanced by his Sage Art. He attempts to box in Itachi and Sasuke, and none of this works. They're able to take down Kidomaru's chakra webbing, Kimimaru's like durable bones. They're able to clash with like samurai, similar to Kage-summoned Sasuke. Another interesting note that just goes along with the whole deal I'm saying, Itachi, Sasuke, relativity, or just like on relativity with Kabuto, all that stuff. Kabuto actually tries to take their rear, and Sasuke and Itachi just have no problems perceiving or dealing with any of the attacks that are coming at them speed-wise. So again, it's just, I can only say this so many times before it just like is pretty blatant. Kabuto's best showing with these abilities being the chains of Fantasia Genjutsu from Tsuyu, which actually is so potent that Sasuke and Itachi just can't break through it. So kind of, giving the idea that the Sage Art amplified it to this degree. Again, this isn't too much for the duo, as seeing that Orochimaru is coming at them and Kabuto wants to take them inside of him with it, he and Itachi break each other out of the Genjutsu. And something I want to note, because I alluded to this before with the Sasuke surpassing Itachi in Genjutsu statement, but Sasuke is actually able to move in his Genjutsu plane that he casts on Itachi with his EMS at a similar speed to Itachi with Tsukuyomi. And again, the fact that Sasuke is actually just using a basic Sharingan Genjutsu to break Itachi out at literally the same speed as a realm that controls time is very telling of his level of Genjutsu prowess at this point in the series. Kind of implying that his base EMS Sharingan Genjutsu might actually just be on the same level as Tsukuyomi, which, you know, goes back to what I said before. This also being supported by the Naruto novel, Naruto Jin Raiden, where it takes place between like Sasuke from his fight with Itachi to when he declares that they're going to destroy the Hidden Leaf. And he actually does show like time manipulation in that Genjutsu. With this feat, Sasuke actually replicates something similar to Itachi Tsukuyomi, where he torments somebody for 72 hours straight, where only a few seconds had like passed by in the real world. The only thing that would necessarily contradict it is Obito's like assessment that Sasuke's Genjutsu isn't on the same level of Itachi's. But he might just be speaking to like Sasuke's MS Genjutsu not being on the same level as Itachi's, which is true. It's just not. Or he just doesn't know Sasuke's abilities at this point. Like Sasuke just hasn't demonstrated that to him. So, and that's just his analysis. So again, no contradictions here. And this is just very supported that Sasuke's Genjutsu prowess would actually just be on the same level as Itachi's at this point, or just be surpassing it. And for my Itachi fans who are like feeling the pushback on this, I want to put it in another perspective. Itachi literally honed his Mangekyo Sharingan to the point that it could only be matched by Sasuke, who literally fused Itachi's eyes with his own after Sasuke pushed his own mastery to the limit. So again, this is just impressive for both characters. It just means that Itachi has EMS level Genjutsu and Sasuke has Genjutsu on the same level as Tsukuyomi. There's no real like issue here. Itachi proclaims he's going to initiate the Izanami. Kabuto slides through the Orochimaru mouth that was caught open by Itachi and Sasuke, slicing Itachi in half and actually dodging Sasuke's fist that attempts to grab him. So again, more impressive stuff by Kabuto. His water style actually being pretty impressive as well, drowning Sasuke out of the Susanoo. I've heard it said that he blatantly broke the ribcage, but this is ridiculous. There's no indication of this. The anime doesn't support it. And we know that for at least the ribcage and even the complete Susanoo, things can pass through from the bottom. For example, when Sasuke's fighting Danzo, even though Sasuke's in the complete Susanoo, air is still able to come through the bottom or wherever in the Susanoo. So, and in the rib cage, it would be more prevalent. The top and bottom are open. So, and this is also displayed with Madara just being able to be grabbed from under his complete Susanoo. So, yeah, it just seems that, you know, water got in, made it difficult to maintain the technique. I do not believe, nor is it any indication that Kabuto's water style AP is just busting the rib cage of the Susanoo. But at this point, the fight, it's just over because Itachi lunges at Kabuto, gets stabbed, and the Izanami loop starts, ending the fight. Now, something I want to make note of too is that to supplement, you know, Sasuke's implied relativity to Itachi and the statements made, there's a following statement with Sasuke being stated to be Itachi's equal during this fight and realized as such. So to say that Sasuke is like inferior to Itachi in any way, or, you know, if you want to say like Itachi may have a better arsenal due to A reason or B reason, that's fine. But to say these two are like leagues apart or not in a similar tier or right next to each other would just be disingenuous. This also does hold some bearing narratively, as on top of Sasuke being able to compete with Itachi in the fight, Itachi divulges all information in regards to what happened during the Uchiha massacre, just supplementing this, that he doesn't see Sasuke as someone who needs to be protected by him anymore. He sees him as an equal who deserves to know the entire truth. After this fight, Sasuke questions a lot of the world, you know, what is a clan, what is a shinobi, even questioning like what he is, leading to Suigetsu and Jugo finding Sasuke. Now, there's not too much to say here, aside from like this one statement that people get in a hissy fit over, with Suigetsu saying when Sasuke wants to bring back Orochimaru that, oh, we've just now surpassed our, you know, predecessors. This is actually just a mistrans on top of just being a really bad statement. It's more so in reference to their age being now due to their mentor being dead, as opposed to just like this weird, you know, power scaling statement. Now, the biggest thing I want to make note of post Kabuto fight is that Sasuke notes multiple times to Itachi and Orochimaru that his hatred towards Konoha has actually increased from being with Itachi. The only potential debunk I've seen for Sasuke just verbatim or blatantly getting stronger via this hatred, as we know Uchihas do, or, you know, even higher into Uchihas like Madara, is that there's a databook statement talking about how the concealed hatred on Sasuke's heart was cleared little by little after understanding the love from his older brother and parents. However, this is completely superseded by Sasuke, like, after this in the timeline, just saying his hatred has grown, with this more so being a momentary experience rather than this just like new outlook. He doesn't hate Konoha anymore. There's no problems. The databook supplements this as well by just saying Itachi's words or like philosophy just doesn't reach Sasuke. So again, it just seems this is like momentary, or just like a short point in the time where he's just like, oh, my hatred is dissipated, as a result of just being with his younger brother, seeing the love that was expressed for him, with him, that experience making his hatred grow even more as a result. Sasuke is also at this point noted to just be no longer the same person that was being manipulated by Orochimaru, Tobi, or Itachi, as Sasuke at this point in the series just requires a higher level of understanding of how the shinobi world functions, how these circumstances came to be, after seeing how Itachi could consider himself a Leaf Shinobi after seeing his name dragged through the mud. Taka then takes off for a bit to go to the Leaf Village and revive the Edo Hokage. Sasuke then revives the Edo Gokage with Orochimaru, where he questions Tobirama, Hiruzen, and Hashirama on Itachi, the village, and the Uchiha. We have further confirmation from Tobirama that an Uchiha's strong feelings can convert into strength. That's pretty much why he has PTSD from Madara. And the implementations he made into the village to stop another Madara from appearing. Nice job, by the way. A lot of people get caught up in the Tobirama chakra flex feat. I won't say too much about it since, you know, it isn't that relevant to the video. I just think, you want my personal opinion, a good chakra flex feat shows Tobirama's kind of strong, threatening to Sasuke. I know people get into if Sasuke is showing his EMS or not. Think what you want. I don't really care. Doesn't make too much of a difference for this video. After hearing the history of Hashirama and Madara with the Senju and Uchiha, Sasuke learns that shinobi are those who endure in order to achieve their goals. This is where Sasuke's character actually evolves a bit, and I will say a common trope with Sasuke's character throughout the series is that as his visual dojutsu evolves, his outlook on the world and the information he requires needs to evolve as well. So for example, he obtains the Mangekyo Sharingan, and the illusion that Itachi in the village had placed over him is stripped away, and his outlook on the world and what needs to be changed evolves. So he goes on to take on Danzo the Hokage because that's the problem that caused him so much grief. But then he meets with the Hokage with his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, and he sees that the village system is the issue. His outlook evolves even further, and he carries this over with his Rinnegan as well. The stronger his dojutsu becomes and the more it evolves, he sees how deep these issues are rooted and what he'll need to do to make an impact. So it goes from killing Itachi to killing the Hokage to ending the 5 Kage and becoming an Hokage who can just strip away all of the world's darkness. So there is a nice progression here and in a bit of development for his visual prowess and outlook. So this is also partially why I don't think this Sasuke is linkable, because he has this new mindset along with new hatred amps that are presented that just make it so he's a completely different person almost than he was just previously. Sasuke and the Hokage rush off to the battlefield where we do see the Acclimated EMS. Essentially, Sasuke has gone through some amps, emotional triumphs, along with having practiced with his eyes, getting acclimated to them, one could say, and growing stronger. So this is just too much has happened from Sasuke's early stage with his EMS to link the two. Now against the Ten Tails, we see that base to base, Sasuke can keep up with Naruto against the Ten Tails soldiers. He's also displayed to be blatantly superior to Sakura, who could be argued to be somewhat relative to base EMS Sasuke off of her databook statement, yet we could get a pretty big no-no as Naruto and Sasuke are able to fire off attacks at Ten Tails soldiers far before Sakura can maneuver out the way to counterattack. This isn't to dunk on Sakura or anything, as she's actually very strong by this point, but saying she can keep pace with them does not mean she's as strong as them, which is a big distinction I don't think people make. Sasuke showcases his new summon Aota, who is close in power to Manda and the second Manda. We see Sasuke even show signs of being superior to Naruto in this form of KCM, as he's able to stay vigilant on the battlefield, whereas Naruto admits he can't keep up with anything going on. This coupled with Sasuke even saving Naruto against Obito during the fight with his Susanoo, while Naruto isn't really able to do anything about it even with his chakra arms, even moving faster than a Kyuubi Minato at a certain point in the fight. But, you know, this Minato's arguably recovering from the backlash of the Obito revelation. So this isn't really indicative of how strong Kyuubi Minato is, and shouldn't just put Sasuke leagues ahead of this Naruto, but just should show him as a little bit more impressive. Obviously, he isn't leagues above Naruto or anything to that degree, just seems a bit more impressive. Performing better than this Naruto while being able to match him in turn at every point, whether it be matching chakra ratios or just in conventional stats. And I can understand maybe some people's apprehension with this, but just to kind of like hammer down the consistency of this, there's quite literally a scene where Obito attaches a truth-seeking sphere to Minato. Minato's getting ready to teleport away from it. Naruto, Minato, and Sasuke all see the, you know, truth-seeking sphere go off at the same time, and Sasuke's able to react before Naruto and throw a Susanoo up and actually like wrap a arm around Naruto before Naruto even like does anything. Like, there's no movement, yet Sasuke's just moving his body and able to just summon the Susanoo and just envelop Naruto. So again, right, it's just pretty consistent that Sasuke is just outperforming this version of Naruto. And again, even if you want to argue there's some relativity, Sasuke just consistently looks better than this version against like the unstable Kabuto. So again, just really good jutsu activation / reaction feeds by Sasuke. Now clearly, while this is all great, he's still pretty firmly below unstable Kabuto, as Obito is able to grab Sasuke and Naruto point blank, even ripping through a Susanoo, which is very consistent with what we know from Obito's physical movements that are displayed to be much faster than his truth-seeking orbs and their constructs. It's here Minato stabilizes, and Sasuke doesn't even do too much against Obito. He just gets his Amaterasu blocked because Obito just straight up senses it and blocks it. His and Naruto's combined attacks has no real long-lasting impact on Obito. One of the few things worth noting from this Sasuke versus Obito is that after Obito stabilizes, we don't see too much from Sasuke, but he does receive a bit of Naruto's chakra, which is not worth much to Sasuke, honestly speaking. Now, the main purpose for Naruto sharing his chakra was to teleport everyone outside the barrier, as they were about to be nuked on top of having just made the shinobi stronger. Naruto's Kyuubi chakra on the Alliance acts as more of an amplifier for weaker shinobi. The effect would be less noticeable to stronger shinobi such as Hashirama, for example, or Sasuke, as Sasuke's Susanoo arrows or Hashirama's wood style are not getting multiple times stronger from a small portion of the Kyuubi's chakra. It's just more of a buff to weaker shinobi. The chakra itself actually acts as more of an amplifier, as we see Hinata air palming a 10-tails tail out of the sky. Yet, we also know it doesn't provide large amounts of chakra in general to the stronger fighters on the battlefield, as we see when the entire division is fighting against Gurgur Zetsu. They actually note they're out of chakra, yet still have Naruto's cloak on. This is also shown with Sakura, who's, when attempting to revive Naruto, also still has the Kyuubi cloak on, and she knows she's almost out of chakra blatantly. So, it just, the confusion comes into play off of Kakashi and Shikaku Nara's discussion, where Kakashi notes he can Kamui a larger object and relays that, you know, he received like 3 times an amp from the Nine-Tails chakra in terms of what he can Kamui after receiving it. The difference here is that Kakashi is referencing when Kurama directly gave Kakashi his chakra and not the Nine-Tails cloak itself. So it's not just multiplying the entire alliance, it's amplifying them while allowing Naruto to protect them by forcibly taking control of the chakra itself, as displayed while defending the alliance from Madara and Obito. Someone may bring up the fact that Kakashi was getting ready to wipe out the Ten-Tails, but keep in mind he had this direct transfer of chakra on top of the Kyuubi cloak, amping him even further, or amping his attacks even further. So it would make sense why he specifically is able to perform these ridiculous feats. The reason I have to clarify this is because while Sasuke does have Naruto's chakra, again, it's not as if the Susanoo itself is getting massively amped from it. It's pretty clear this isn't the case. We see Obito remove the God Tree from himself to attack the Shinobi Alliance and absorb their chakra, which can be considered a nerf or depowerment, as Madara is amped and healed by absorbing the same God Tree. Obito separated by himself. Take that as you will, just throwing that out there. We also see at this point in the series that Sasuke actually does seem somewhat insecure at the raw chakra Naruto is actually handling with perfect chakra control. This is also after Naruto stacks Sage Mode on top of the Kyuubi avatar and unleashes a giant Senjutsu Beast Bomb with Minato against Obito. So, you know, it makes sense that Sasuke would feel pretty insecure after seeing this Naruto, as Naruto had much more time to develop his abilities in the war, with near Hashirama chakra levels to basically pull from. So it makes complete sense why Sasuke would be insecure at this point. We see that Obito actually absorbs a bunch of the Alliance's chakra, and Naruto actually almost gives up, with Sasuke waking Naruto out of his daze. Sasuke showcases the partial transformation Susanoo to fight alongside Naruto's Kyuubi avatar. When Sasuke fights this Obito, this is what I'd remark as ultimate EMS Sasuke. This version of Sasuke has grown accustomed to his eyes, practiced, gotten some amps, and now is stepping into an entirely different tier. So the ultimate EMS like category can be summed up to everything, you know, you chalk up Sasuke's performance in this fight to, and then like the peak of it. Sasuke, after hearing Naruto chide at him that Senjutsu is the only really effective option against Obito, merges Jugo's curse mark with his Susanoo, forming the Senjutsu Susanoo. This causes Tobirama to praise Sasuke as an Uchiha who shows the same potential as Madara, with Orochimaru stating that Sasuke's power hasn't come anywhere near its limit, and that based on the intel he's gathered over his entire life, Sasuke will be a shinobi who surpasses Madara. This is actually pretty crucial, as Orochimaru is one of the most intelligent characters in the series, but more importantly, has been watching the events of the war from inside Anko the whole time while absorbing all of Kabuto's intel when absorbing his chakra back. So he should have a perfect idea of what's been happening, including Madara rampaging across the battlefield, along with having met Hashirama, who Madara rivals. So this is ridiculously high praise. More importantly, however, Orochimaru notes that Sasuke's power has not reached anywhere near its limit with his EMS, which is continuing the narrative that Sasuke is just constantly growing stronger and stronger with his eyes as he uses them, launching at Obito and Naruto at his side. We're able to see Sasuke, Senjutsu, Susanoo keep pace with Naruto's Kurama avatar, while Naruto's also applying Sage Mode, both moving, attacking physically, and with their ranged attacks all literally moving at the same speed. So to say they're relative to one another here would be an understatement. We then see, after fighting for a short time, Naruto and Sasuke begin to acclimate to Obito's absurdly fast movements, Naruto specifically noting he's beginning to sense Obito better and better, which extends to Sasuke as we not only see him visually following Obito's movements, but attacking at the same spot Naruto is attacking, despite what was cemented earlier by Orochimaru, with Sasuke continuing to progress alongside Naruto. I just want to talk about the curse mark amp Sasuke is getting here too, and why it's not substantial. This is, some people might just jump on the train and say, oh, Sasuke gets 10 times stronger here due to the curse mark. No, the curse mark does not just make you 10 times stronger. It's not a multiplier. It just gives you 10 times as much chakra while amplifying some stats, but mainly amplifying some abilities as well. I won't talk about this too much since I talk about it in my Lee vs. the Sound 4 video at extreme length. So, you know, that's on screen. Go check that out, or I'll leave it in the description. But essentially, if you look at the Sound 4, all their data books point to certain abilities being amplified. A few examples of this are, for example, Kimimaro in version 2 being noted to give him unmatched precision. Or with like Sakon and Ukon, it's noted for Ukon that he can only use the Parasite Demon Demolition technique in the version 2 state. With supplementary material also just noting it just increases chakra. So they are getting like a speed and power increase. It's just not 10 times. And the point I'm getting across is that compared to this Sasuke's full power in the Susanoo, it just wouldn't be that big of an amp. Even as far back in the Kage Summit, like hatred amps were already propelling Sasuke leagues ahead of what his curse mark could even do. So Sasuke actually just has some like arbitrary amount of Senjutsu chakra that's limited to the curse mark, as opposed to Naruto's Sage Mode amp, which is much more of an amp as it actually just amps his ninjutsu, taijutsu, and sensory capabilities instead of just granting the user more chakra and amplifying certain characteristics and abilities. So you could even make a case like Naruto's just being amped more here, yet Sasuke's still able to compete here, which just really just outlines how impressive he is. I've heard some people argue that when he uses Sage Mode in KCM2 that it's a fusion of the QB's chakra and his own, like the No. Let me discuss like Sage Mode for a second. When Naruto enters Sage Mode, it essentially is a fusion of his base chakra and nature energy to produce Sage Mode, with higher chakra reserves obviously yielding better results. In terms of KCM2, the whole point of the Sage Mode portion was to add a super effective type element to the fight rather than give him some absurd strength increase. We know that the Ninetales gathering nature energy and Naruto himself gathering it are nowhere near like close at all, as displayed in his fight with Sasuke, where Naruto actually gains essentially a 10 tails amp or relative to in terms of nature energy, whereas here it's nowhere near that level of increase with just him gathering nature energy. The strength difference just isn't apparent in this situation. Now, I'm not saying the duo didn't get a buff from these amps, but saying their respective avatars got over 10 times stronger from a small portion of Sage Mode chakra when compared to their full strength, it just is too absurd for me. It'd be like saying Naruto in Sage Mode versus KCM2 in any debate. The two forms are light years apart in terms of strength, so when you add just the amp Sage Mode provides, it just wouldn't be a significant buff compared to Naruto and KCM2. It'd be the equivalent literally of if you took Naruto in Sage Mode and just added that chakra to Naruto and KCM2. It's not that crazy of a buff. And it's the same thing with the curse mark. What's the point of me saying all this? Well, the point I'm trying to get across is that the Sage Mode amping Naruto's avatar and the curse mark amping Sasuke's Susanoo are not putting them entire tiers above their avatars without those amps. And that previous discussion was to outline how the chakra they are gaining isn't really that impressive compared to where they are now, nor would it be astronomically increasing their avatars. So they're just this impressive stat-wise. Yes, there's an increase, but is it like an entire tier above where they are now? No, not at all. They're way too strong for all of that. It's just a minor amp. Now, even if you don't agree with any of that, you know, that's okay. I'm going to tell you why it doesn't matter in literally 3 seconds. But one thing I want to bring up that no one brings up when talking about these two and their avatars, and when saying, oh, Naruto's just like slapping Sasuke in this form and he's like sandbagging, or Sasuke's getting all these amps, Naruto's Kurama avatar's way stronger right now. We see that Obito demonstrates he's definitively above Naruto and Sasuke, grabbing and one-shotting Naruto and Sasuke's Susanoo avatars. The fact that Naruto and Sasuke actually seem to sustain relative amounts of damage is further confirmation of how close in strength their avatars are, as if Naruto's Kurama avatar were that much stronger, Sasuke's would have broken much easier with him sustaining more injury than Naruto. But he doesn't, which is further cemented by the fact that Jugo is alive and well, Jugo being nowhere near the level of base EMS Sasuke or Sage Mode Naruto, clearly. And Naruto's also in Sage Mode here. Let's also not forget that, so his durability is enhanced. And there actually is an argument to be made that Sasuke also may just scale above Naruto, like in Sage Mode, with his EMS durability-wise either. I know that sounds crazy, but there actually is a case for it later on. There's like another feat we could talk about that kind of supports that. Again, to say that Sasuke's avatar was like leagues below Naruto's just is not the case. I don't know how many times I can say that. The only way to argue that is if you argue Naruto's QB avatar just isn't durable, which, I mean, it is. Like, it's always keeping pace, and at a higher level, it's able to block Susanoo sword swings with its tail. So I don't know what else to tell you. Now, obviously, they're not at Obito's level, as Obito is trying to confirm his own path through Naruto and trying to break Naruto to, in a way, prove Obito's path was the correct one. Sasuke then steps next to Naruto, determined to settle this fight with their next move. And it's here that we see Sasuke form the perfect Susanoo, stating that he believes this is what Madara had done in the past. This caused Naruto and Jugo to notice the change in the Susanoo forming around the Nine Tails-like armor, with even Hashirama remarking how familiar it is. Now, I've heard some debate on if Sasuke actually does have the perfect Susanoo or not. I will concede, you know, you don't want to say that. I mean, you know, by all means. I'm of the opinion he does, just because the weapons are quite literally the perfect Susanoo weapons. The avatar has a very distinct, different armor look. It's the exact same look that the QB had when Madara, with this perfect Susanoo out already, just wrapped around the QB. So to sit here and just say it's not the perfect Susanoo, I don't know. It's just weird. Like, I don't know why you would just make that claim, you know? It'd be like arguing Madara didn't have the perfect Susanoo when he wrapped it around the QB. You would never argue that. The only reason, like, you would potentially say that is because Sasuke didn't exhibit it, but this just goes alongside, like, the adaptation point I was talking about earlier, how the Sasuke is growing. You could actually just make a case that he developed it at this very point, just due to the heightened experiences of using his MS and acclimating over and over, which allowed him to display the perfect Susanoo. Which, again, shouldn't really be a hot take. We've seen his Susanoo evolve plenty of times in combat before, so nothing too crazy here. And the interesting thing is that this perfect Susanoo would have to be stronger, or at least as strong as the avatar Sasuke just displayed, to actually be useful to Naruto in this situation. It would make no sense for him to don a weaker avatar to attack Jubito alongside Naruto. And this is further cemented by the fact that he loses Jugo and the Nine Tails chakra that Naruto had given him, and he's still able to sync up with Naruto against Obito, with the Susanoo armor not, or like weapons just not being garbage at this point. Like, they're still very relevant. So for Sasuke to even match this Naruto and like have a form to combine with his QB, he would just need an avatar of comparable strength. So his perfect Susanoo avatar at the bare minimum should be as strong as the avatar that was just fighting alongside Naruto, or stronger, as Naruto also goes through developments and Sasuke just loses some amps. Even if you disagreed with what I was saying before about the amp Sasuke being small, which I feel like I outlined why they're not that significant of an amp, his perfect Susanoo would at the very least be on that level or above it. If you want to say like the jump from a V3 Susanoo to a perfect Susanoo is the equivalent of like a small QB cloak and a curse mark, go ahead. I don't think it is, but, you know, either way, it doesn't really matter. The main part I want to get across here is that the feats Sasuke exhibits here are not outliers. They're not just coming from these amps. No, this is just how strong he is. Even without the curse mark present, which again, I outlined before, Sasuke should just scale to all these feats. Sasuke and Naruto combine their strengths to defeat Obito's Sword of Nonoboku. I also do want to note, while this adaptation's all well and good, it's clear no one on the battlefield is individually as strong as Obito. Sasuke was just fortunate that Obito was trying to point hypocrisy in Naruto's ninja way, so the point is will weaken at the most pivotal point, leading to his defeat. So you have Sasuke, who was able to acclimate to 10 Tails level Obito's movements, perfect Susanoo, all this crazy stuff, eventually leading to Obito's defeat. After this point, both Sasuke and Naruto are all both visibly fatigued. Naruto losing the QB cloak and just Sasuke not donning the Susanoo armor anymore and just tries to like take down Obito with this sword. After Sasuke has his fight with Ten Tails Obito, we don't really get to see what he can do as he attempts to take Madara down with this sword rather than any of his crazier abilities. This seems to be due to him being fatigued from fighting against Obito, which is something that Naruto shares as he tries to fight Madara in Sage Mode. The reasoning Naruto eventually does enter KCM2 is due to how he has a QB to charge up chakra for him, where Sasuke does not. So it makes sense why Sasuke never exhibits the higher forms of Susanoo against Blind or Rinnegan Madara. But after a sword scuffle where Madara like weaves around with his taijutsu, Madara does note that Sasuke does have good moves after weaving around Sasuke's assault. Being one of the only shinobi to know his Mangekyo are Chokutome, meaning the Tomoe of the Sharingan, the Kama-shaped, is straight instead of Kama-shaped. Madara actually considers taking Sasuke's eyes, yet does extend an invitation for Sasuke to join Madara, possibly implying Sasuke would be useful against the remaining forces as an Obito-like substitute on the battlefield, but more so due to how Sasuke resembled Izuna. However, I do want to note he probably wouldn't have offered Sasuke the job if he didn't think Sasuke was at least useful or could help him out against other people on the battlefield. But because these both are in play, you could just lean into one more than the other. Sasuke is also able to withstand Madara's hiding in Ash Jutsu, not even getting blown back or damaged, whereas Naruto in Sage Mode is recoiling from the attack due to the extreme heat alone, showing that Sasuke with his base EMS should at least be superior to Sage Mode Naruto. He also just performs better against Sage Mode Madara than Naruto. At this point, Naruto just gets kicked and knocked out of the battle for a short duration, so Sasuke also just seems more impressive by that front. Sasuke then receives some chakra and a jutsu, which is never shown from Hashirama. This more than likely influenced Sasuke's awakening of the Rinnegan along with aid from Kabuto and Tobirama. I also want to add on the Sasuke fatigue point. This is also why Sasuke, when he attempted to kind of jump Madara while he was preoccupied with Tobirama, he's just fatigued and doesn't have those same absurd chakra levels or, you know, a Bijou to recover chakra for him like Naruto. We then see as Sasuke gets stabbed, meets with Hagoromo, obtains the Rinnegan, and then just, you know, pretty much power clipped any version of himself by like light years again. By the way, this is a side point to supplement why Naruto's Sage Mode isn't that much of a crazy amp on top of his KCM2, due to the fact that he doesn't even go into it against Madara when Madara is blind, despite Madara being the literal last villain in the war. And we know Naruto can charge into Sage Mode almost instantaneously while in KCM2, and he doesn't against Madara. He just doesn't feel the need to while he's in his KCM2 avatar. So another reason these like Sage Senjutsu amps on top of their avatars just aren't making that much of a difference. And the actual main purpose of it was to get the super effective type bonus against Obito. So you kind of have Sasuke, you know, obtain the perfect Susanoo, fight against Ten Tails Obito, acclimate to that level of movements, on par with Naruto. Where am I getting at with all this? The point I want to make with this video is that Sasuke needs to be segmented into different forms when discussing him in certain matchups. Wherever you have Bijou, Sage Mode, Naruto on your tier list, you literally just need to put Sasuke right next to him. Wherever you have him on strength, or just like in that area, because he's that strong. The whole narrative of Sasuke getting carried by Naruto's chakra just needs to die out. He is very comparable to Bijou, Sage Mode, Naruto, if not as strong or on a stronger level, depending on your interpretation. I don't really care where you think it, but you just need to start placing him higher. It's pretty ridiculous. So to sum up, we have three distinct versions of the character, you know, unmastered, acclimated, and then the ultimate version. And then if you want to just tie it all together, you would just say like peak EMS Sasuke. That's the way I've kind of like interpreted this video. Let me know if you guys enjoyed, what your opinions are, if I maybe changed your perspective a little bit. I would appreciate a like. This video took a lot of work, obviously. It was a bit more of a passion project, honestly speaking. Just, you know, I wanted to get this video out more than anything else. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.